terms and concepts. These are a few of the concepts that you're going to hear really over and over again in this course. If you have questions about them or you find them to be a little confusing today, do not be alarmed. We're going to go over these things many times. So syncopation. Syncopation is an integral part of pretty much all styles of American music today. A rhythmic device that displaces the accent from a strong beat to a weak beat or a weak portion of the beat can be very helpful in instilling interest and really a sense of surprise and anticipation within your musical performances. In other words, by kind of leaving the listener kind of guessing and not always giving them exactly what they expect to hear in terms of accent and emphasis, we're helping that performance to be more interesting to the performer and, most importantly, to the audience. So just to give you a little bit of a demonstration, when we say accent, how do we accent something? Well, if I want to accent something in my speech, I might talk more loudly. Or I might pause. That will draw emphasis. I might use a hand gesture like this. If I'm doing that with my playing, I might play a note louder. I might go. Here I'm emphasizing the first note. But I could also draw attention again by accenting something in a place you might not expect. Now, as I played that particular riff, you probably got that in your head, and you could probably sing it back to me right now. So you're used to hearing it now. But if I do something that's different, that's going to stand out. I might go. And this note right here is not necessarily where you would expect to hear the emphasis. That's a very, very simple interpretation of syncopation. It could be much more complex. You could have riffs that sound like this, or whatever it might be. As I play, oftentimes I'm doing this just by habit. I'm doing this because this is the way I hear the beat, possibly because I've heard it played like that before. But there's also an element of surprise for me because I'm often improvising as well. To demonstrate a little bit more syncopation, though, I want to kind of go back to maybe something that's familiar to all of us. We could do something like Yankee Doodle. Predictable. We've all heard that many times. But how about if I kind of just pull on the notes a little bit? It wasn't a huge difference, but you could hear I'm kind of tugging at that a little bit just to give it a little surprise, a little feeling of I don't necessarily know what's coming next, and that's more exciting sometimes when you find that it kind of throws you a curveball, so to speak. Improvisation, I've already hinted at this. The jam session that we watched earlier was full of improvisation, people who are making up the solos. I was making up the example with Yankee Doodle just a few moments ago. That was a moment in time. It was a glint into my thought process as a performer, but it wasn't something that I could even tell you at this moment what I just played. I was speaking musically, so I could do an improvisation again. Maybe we'll throw. I had the guitar boogie that I played a few moments ago. So the tune starts out like that. It does that 4 times. I could go. Now that's a pretty far stretch from where we were. It could be as simple as but again, that's up to the performer. My point being that improvisation is simply the creation of music in the course of performance. I'm composing the music as I go along. There are many different perspectives as to how that you go about this and what's allowed, what's permitted, what's not, what's a good idea, what's not a good idea. But again, at the core is the idea that I'm writing the music on the spot. Also, antiphony, or as many people would call it, call and response, is central to so many styles of American music and American roots music. Essentially, we're talking about, in its purest form, people would talk about different people, one answering the other person, but oftentimes we find the implication of this style within, say, blues music. Maybe a performer sings a line, da 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 da, and then of course the answer. Answering back. So essentially, again, I'm just answering back, and one thing leads to another. I hear what the singer's doing, or if I'm the singer, and my instrument hopefully complements that. But the idea is not to necessarily step on top of the other person. You don't want to, or the other musical voice. You want to essentially let that person say something, listen to what they say, and then react. And finally, I want to talk about blues in general. You can already hear some blues ideas springing forth in my playing today, but there are many definitions of blues. Blues can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Some of the definitions that we find are, number one, a troublesome emotion. A person's feeling disturbed about something. A body of 20th century Black American poetry. This is certainly true that blues was originated by African Americans, and there's great poetic value to the lyrics and great artistic value to the musical contributions of the blues as well. A standard rhythmic harmonic structure in which the 12-bar progression is tied to the AAB couplet and 3-4 bar phrases. That sounds kind of fancy, but it's not as difficult as it sounds. Essentially, we're talking about, with the AAB, the idea that we have the repetition of something. And then, of course, that is followed by an answer to that thing. So in blues standard lyric form, that would be talking about maybe you write a line and then you repeat the line again, and then you answer that line. So if I were having trouble with my computer today, I could say I've got and it happens to be a Tuesday as I'm taping this, but I could say I have the Tuesday evening computer is no count blues. And then I could repeat it again. I have the Tuesday evening, my computer is no count blues. You could say, and then you could answer back and say, computers are a whole lot of trouble. To get them working, I wear out the soles of my shoes. Not a great example, but my point being, that's essentially what's happening here. You have a phrase, you repeat the phrase, and then you come back with an answer to that phrase. That was also an example of lyrical improvisation, by the way. So great blues singers, great blues artists often write the words as the tune goes by as well, not just the musical notes. A title. Sometimes tunes are just called the something blues. There are many, many blues tunes. And if you live in a very big town, probably your town has been used in the name of a blues song before. There is a tune called Johnson City Blues, just to put it in perspective. Okay, I like this definition though. It says a secular 20th century Black American vocal genre and a vital component of related genres. So again, this is essentially attributing this style of music, its origins and its roots, to the innovations of many, many creative African Americans, which is true, but it's also telling us not only where it came from, but it's saying where has it reached, where is it going, and essentially it says it is a vital component of related genres. This is a critical understatement. You would be hard pressed to find an American style of music that does not rely on blues and blues techniques. It is essential to many of the American styles that we cherish and love so much today. Country music, gospel music, jazz music, certainly blues music, rock music, hip hop music, soul music. So many things that we listen to on the radio. Much of the American popular music um, owes a substantial portion of its stylistic base to the use of blues ideas.